Welcome back, everybody. It's Draskyl here with another replay analysis. This is a continuation of the support series that we've been doing, talking about what can I do in my games as a 4 or a 5 player. The last two games we went over, we had a Lion and an AA respectively, and now we're going to be looking at an Elder Titan, a hero that, in my opinion, is maybe a bit underutilized, very powerful in the lane, offers a lot of anti-carry potential even from a 4 or a 5. Mainly due to natural order. If you don't know what this ability does, it reduces your base armor and base resists, which is, depending on the hero, very, very powerful. So agility heroes, for example, they get armor based on agility, and if their primary stat is agility, they're obviously going to have a lot of base armor. Now, anything like a plate mail is additive armor. This ability does not affect it. It only affects the base. So, first things first, obviously, like we said, strong laner. Usually when you're playing Elder Titan, having boots of speed in your inventory at level 1 is kind of just normal. Mainly, you're going to be using Astral Spirit, dragging it through some creeps, you know, getting a lot of armor, damage, movement speed, all this kind of cool stuff for everything that it passes through. So we need to make a couple of notes about what we want to happen in the laning phase to make sure that our hero and our lane partner Luna can be as successful as possible. So for the first thing, is that when you're starting an inventory like this, your bounty rune gold that you get, assuming, you know, both teams get at least one bounty, most of the time you're going to be getting 2. We want to make sure that you have sentries available to buy, because this hero heavily relies on being able to drag his Astral Spirit through creeps in order to lane. If you can't drag him through the creeps, then what happens is you're not getting as much lane presence out of the hero, and you kind of... you're feeling a bit lackluster. This is I believe this is like an 8 or a 9k average. It's somewhere in between. Let's say for the sake of argument it's 8.5. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I don't want these videos to run as long as they have been. I know the last ones have been pretty long. So we're gonna be doing some fast forwarding to try to make it easier on the viewers. It's gonna be dropping a ward level 1. We saw one of the heroes, Rubik, walk into our jungle, so we can make the assumption. You notice he puts the sentry on his quick buy immediately. He wants that camp to be available to pull.
30 seconds.
And now he's just doing the ward scout. There is going to be an observer place mid. Just very normal 5 movement stuff so far. I do like the fact that he put the ward on the hill, because this Fire Ward guarantees that if one of the supports walks in early, even with boots, because he has boots of his own, he was there fast enough to see that the Rubik would be going for a deep ward to block a camp. You can see it on the minimap here. Sentry placement inside of the small camp to block it. He'll get the bottom bounty rune for free. And he's even going to use the sentry that he bought prior to get the mid ward. So he's already up. He gets experience from the ward. He gets gold from the ward. He's buying a salve in advance. This move, I would argue, buying the salve, maybe having the sentry is better. But I'm a bit unsure on that. Mostly because we know his small camp's not going to spawn. The small camp not spawning means that his Astral Spirit is going to be pretty weak. If the Rubik, for example, body blocks the large camp, that means he's going to have a lot less stuff to drag it through, therefore not going to be as powerful in lane. Whenever you're playing Elder Titan, you just really want to make sure that you're only trading when you have the spirit available. He's even going to be blocking his own large camp. So let's think about this. Why would he want to block the large camp right now? As this lane, Luna Elder Titan, I would say that your power spike is probably either level 2 or 3, when you have more points into Spirit and you have at least 1 point into either Stomp or Natural Order. So if he considers this lane not as strong until the later levels, then blocking the large camp makes sense. And if he is going to be trading like this, and he doesn't want either camp spawning, then having the salve and inventory sent out right away makes more sense. So after having seen how he's playing, instead of prioritizing the sentry for the extra Astral Spirit benefit, maybe he assumes the Rubik is either going to go for a body block, or maybe he just knows that he's going to be trading his HP for the HP of the 4-player and the 3-player respectively. This is something that you can do as a lot of supports. I know there are probably a few people out there who enjoy playing heroes like Ogre. Maybe not the strongest hero, but it's very similar playstyle. You kind of just... You trade your health for their mana, so your core player can get a fair amount of last hits and things like that. Whenever he's throwing out the Spirit, by the way, he's always making sure that he's hitting both heroes, because the heroes are the ones that give you the most benefit for the Spirit itself. Now he's got 2 sentries. He's going to do some de-warding of his own. He's going to get a 2-for-1 here. Really nice sentry placement. Very efficient. Whenever you're de-warding this area, where he places the sentry is probably the most optimal spot, because it catches the lane ward behind the tower and it catches the small camp as well. The other placement that you can do if you want to de-ward and you're not sure where it is and your camp is blocked is you can always just place it in the middle and then walk around, find the ward, and then kill your own sentry after. Obviously, he didn't have to do that here, but he's going to want his camp to spawn, and he's going to want to block the large again, and he does. So we're getting near the point where our lane should just kind of become stronger than the enemies, mostly because multiple points into Spirit. We'll check the Luna's skill build too, just to see. He's still level 2, so when he hits level 3, we can probably expect another point into Beam, and there it is. So now we just have a ton of firepower, right? Timber is maybe one of the most annoying heroes in the offlane, and this Elder Titan Luna, more or less just bullying him around and not letting him get much CS. In fact, we can probably open that right now so we can see how the Luna's doing.
Has been slain.
He gets the courier kill, walking in for a bounty rune. They spawn every 3 minutes. Kind of, I guess he saw the Rubik mid, so he assumed that he could do that. Now this is some cool tech that a lot of people would see this in a game, and they would, maybe if you're a low-level player, you would look at it and you would just go, what's he doing, right? But let's talk it out for just a second. He has no resources, right? He has no health, no mana. And if he were to die to these neutrals, he does have an increased spawn timer. However, because he's not sitting in the lane, soaking EXP, he sees the Rubik was mid, he gets the bounty, he doesn't have to teleport back to base. As a support, teleporting back to base is a no-no because it more or less means you're out of commission for the next 60 seconds minimum, right? You TP and then you have to run all the way back to where you were, and then if something does happen on the map, your teleport scroll is no longer available, and you can't help anybody. So he picks up the rune, and he makes very good use of his time by getting killed by the Ancients. He spends all his money. He dies to the Ancients, and now he's going to come back to lane with the wards in his inventory, having a smoke, and hopefully being able to secure the lane more for his Luna. He is going to pop a TP here. I don't mind this at all, mainly because it's an Elder Titan. And as far as TP reaction heroes go, he's not the best. Gets a nice little stomp. He's going to do a lot of damage here, by the way, even to Timber. That's a pretty chunky hit. Plus 83 damage, so 143 at 4 minutes into the game. For a 5, that's a lot of damage. So he gets back to the lane. Luna is denying creeps. They're actually going to be under a double wave here. Double wave for the enemy team. You can see how many creeps there are. He's going to be stacking the small camp. Again, this is all coinciding with Astral Spirit, just wanting to make sure he gets a lot of value out of it. And every time this Timber walks up, he's just very consistently harassing. Like, look at how much damage he just took. Getting the stomp off, the Timber chaining a little bit late, results in just way too much for the Timber to even handle. And since the Rubik is playing top right now, this Timber has no help. Ordinarily, if the 4 player is still occupying the lane, these kills would not be so easy. But the Rubik could have made the distinction early on in the game that this lane is not winnable, even with his presence. So it's not necessarily that the Rubik is doing the wrong thing, it's more just, in this type of scenario, he may have deemed the lane unwinnable. And as someone who plays 3, when your 4 does that, you just kind of have to change the way you interpret the lane and what you're going to get out of it, because hopefully somebody else's game is better because that guy's not with you anymore. So he places a ward, checks for the bounty rune again. His timing was actually about 5 seconds late. If he had been there roughly 5 seconds sooner, like started walking from bottom, he may have been able to take the rune away from the Wind Ranger completely. and therefore there would have been no bottle fill. But this is something else that you can do too. He makes the rotation towards mid. He knows that the Rubik has not really been playing bottom that much, and the Timber is very far behind in levels. So when you're playing against Timber, as I'm sure many of you have, because he's super popular right now, very strong hero, until the Timber is level 6, he doesn't really add any kill pressure on his own. So like, you're not going to die to a Timber Chain and a Whirling Death by itself, right? Most of the time, even as a safe lane hero, you're going to be able to get away from that. The thing that kills you is Chakram. So once the Timber is 6, that's when you start having to worry about, okay, do I sacrifice the tower in my lane? Or do I sit down there still and help the Luna because we have enough burst damage to take this guy out? And we'll see how he handles the situation. He's 1-2-1 right now, level 4, actually now level 5. He's putting an extra point into Stomp, most likely in preparation for having his ultimate, as Earth Splitter is really hard to hit with only 1 point into Stomp. Looks like the Luna is going to find the Timber, gets him really low with an Eclipse, and he should be dead. Yep, nice rotation. But you'll notice is when the Elder Titan wasn't in the lane, the Luna decided that being in the lane against Chakram is too scary. That is a timing that everyone should know, support or core otherwise. When you're sitting in the safe lane against a Timber and he hits 6, most of the time, if you do not have a hero with you, it is in your best interest to leave. So the Luna waited until the Elder Titan was in the vicinity to be able to go for him and actually get the kill. So far, very, very few mistakes. Very few mistakes being made, if any, honestly, by the Elder Titan. I guess you could argue the bounty rune thing was a very minor mistake, like 5 seconds. He was just off by. Trying to get his level 6. Earth Splitter is really nice. Actually, does he even skill it? I wonder. I'm not really an Elder Titan expert. You know, full disclosure, I barely ever play this hero, so I'm going to be learning a little bit about the hero as well, along with you guys at home, hopefully. Nice little lane ward. That ward will still scout most movement towards the lane. Gonna get a Stomp here. Okay, he does actually get the 3rd point into Stomp. So that is something that I did not know. But if we were to talk about the general idea of what the Elder Titan is trying to do here, it's more securing the game for the Luna. So anytime as a 5, if you have a hero who really needs to vacuum a lot of space, then you need to ensure that that part of the map is safe for them at all times. And there's 2 ways you can accomplish this. He's a little bit late again in the bounty rune, but that's okay. He might be dead for this move. Willow with a nice little bramble. Again, he's just throwing his body in there. As the 5 player, sometimes the best thing you can do is go in and just make yourself a target for the enemy team so the rest of your players can theoretically back off. As right now, there's no coil. So the Puck player doesn't have coil, but his team is able to get in range for some counter kills, and this only happens because he put himself in harm's way. If he just walks down the hill, the game stays status quo, no kills exchanged, and ultimately it ends up just being a support for support trade. So not super good, not super bad either way. He does get a courier kill though, so he still made it worthwhile for his team because he got the courier. If he didn't get the courier, I'd say that would just be like a totally neutral exchange. So as opposed to the other videos that I've done where I haven't watched the game in advance, I did watch on, like, 8 times speed or whatever this game. And when I saw this is part of the thing that I really wanted to, I guess, cover in regards to your job as the 5. Because of the heroes that he has on his team, Luna and Mag specifically, even Puck, these heroes annihilate creeps, okay? They kill creeps really, really fast. So what does that mean for the overall state of the game? You're going to push waves quick, but you're also going to need more space in the jungle in order to be able to get your maximum efficiency on heroes like Luna. When she doesn't have Eclipse, good chance she's not going to want to fight. So what can I do to make her game better is make sure that there's no vision on my side of the map. Enemy team has a Wind Ranger mid, they have a Timber, they have a Rubik. very good chance if they smoke into our side of the map and they have deep wards that Luna is just going to die. Maybe we get counter kills, maybe we don't. But the Luna is going to feel a lot better about sitting in the safe part of the map if there is vision already down before anybody gets there. So he goes and he dewards what I would call the very common deep ward spots. So he already covered one in that little patch of the trees between the tier 1 and the tier 2. And he's going to use his courier to scout for other wards. A lot of players, lower MMR, they would place that sentry on the spire and miss a potential D ward by not placing it fully efficiently because they didn't want to micro their courier. There are certain heroes that you don't have to do this with. For example, Ancient Apparition, which we already did a video on. If you're playing him, you can just use Ice Vortex for vision, and that's fine. It's not really a huge commitment of mana, low cooldown spells. That's okay too. But don't sacrifice your sentry placement because you're lazy. You will miss an observer, and then someone will die because that observer ward is there.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So he gets his dewarding done. He has already secured the map for his Luna. The Luna feels really good about being in the bottom part of the lane. And he smokes up. They find the anti-mage, and they just kill him straight up. So he immediately changes gears. Step 1, secure the map for my core player. Step 2, try to pressure their core player because we have the tools necessary to catch him and punish him if he's out of position. We'll see how much damage he's able to put out here. The Wyvern's not 6, so no curse. He's going to take some damage from the Chakram. This Elder Titan still hits very hard, even with only 2 points in Astral. He's even putting himself in place for the Bounty Rune. This is peak level efficiency on a support. It would have been nice if he could have gotten the rune as well, but he's blocked the camp, and he's also gotten a deep ward. The downside is that the AM saw him. So the best possible scenario for him in this situation would be if the AM did not see him at all, even if he gets the bounty, because then you wouldn't be able to tell that there was a ward. If a core player sees you as a support in their jungle, high probability that they're going to expect vision of some sort in that area. So it wasn't really... It was a good efficiency play, but it didn't work out perfectly because the AM just happened to be there. But the idea is still very good. We'll see how long the ward stays, because that is a very important source of income for Anti-Mage, especially once he has Battle Fury. If he doesn't have access to that camp for even a minute, it's a problem. But I do think their ward's going to die just straight away. Yeah, you can already see the Wyverns on top of it. So that's like one of the downsides, and a good thing to take away from this game is that when you see that happen, if you run into somebody and you're a support, don't panic drop your ward. It will just die. Anyone who is worth their salt in support play is going to basically see you and go, oh yeah, there's probably a ward. And then the ward's just going to be dead. It was just a bit unfortunate for him because he placed the ward more or less as the AM blinked up the hill for the bounty rune, so a little bit unlucky, but maybe he could have been a tiny bit more patient with when and where he placed it. Smoked again behind the Luna player. Playing around the Luna at this stage in the game is really good because they have great team fight, lots of magic damage. They know the AM can't really fight. They're going to commit an RP to the Rubik. So no risk of stolen spells. So far, this has been a very smooth game for the Radiant team. And since a lot of the other videos have run a little bit long, even though they've been more thorough, I think in the future I want to try to keep the videos more like this, where we don't pause as much and we kind of just take the game as it is. That Timber is just going to explode. Really nice coil, good Earth Splitter, hits on 2. And might actually still be dead here. Looks like they'll be able to get out. But every game so far in the series that we've done covering supports, it's all just a mental checklist of what you want to do. So if we were to say, at 15 minutes in, against a team with an AM, with a 6,000 gold lead, and a Luna, we're probably in an okay spot. If I were to kind of break down the draft for both teams and say why this game seems so over, some people who are inexperienced might look at this game and say, hey, you know, it's 15 minutes in, it's a 6k gold lead, that, you know, maybe that's something that can be overcome. But the truth is, because of the composition of Radiant, they have Natural Order, they have Luna, who is one of the better heroes against AM because her timing comes faster. She also is capable of team fighting where AM is not, and she secures you objectives. She's one of the best, in my opinion, cores to pit against an anti-mage for just those reasons alone. But the AM is also countered by all 3 cores and the Elder Titan. So Puck counters it because of Coil, Mag counters it because of RP, the Luna counters it for the reasons I already explained, and then on top of that, Elder Titan removes all your base armor, which is anti-mage. Since you only buy things like Battle Fury and Manta and then eventually maybe like a Scotty, you're never getting any form of armor other than stats. And as we said in the beginning of the video, stats, armor just gets deleted by Natural Order. So you're never going to be tanky. You're fighting against heroes that farm, control the map. You don't have any place to be. It just feels bad. So based on those things, I think we can just kind of sum up this video as what Elder Titan does really well. He secures the lane. He's anti-carry. He's also very good against heroes like Void, for example, because you can sit really far away from the team fight and wait for the Void to use his spells, so you can throw the Spirit inside of Chrono, for example, and use Stomp. And then he can't do anything unless he has like a BKB or whatever. He'll have to move around. He can't hit as freely as he wants to. So really good in those types of situations as well. But I'm glad I found this replay, because right now there's not a lot of heroes that are kind of like the meaty frontline supports that people are picking. There's not too much Undying. There's not too much Ogre. But this is one of the better ones that I've found in terms of playing the hero efficiently, understanding his job, securing the map and the lane for his core, and then the game just kind of flows into the next, you know, next step to the next step to the next step. But this is probably just going to mark the end of the video, because I know for a fact that Radiant win this game. And then for the next video, we're going to try to find something where they're behind, and then they're going to make some form of a comeback. And that replay is going to be a little bit more difficult to find. We're going to have to like go through and watch a few games and see if there's anything really worth having. But this one is just a by-the-book Elder Titan 5 position. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something from this. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to comment below, or you can check me out on twitch.tv/Draskyl, same as the YouTube name. And we will see you guys next time.